All right, welcome to Franchise Friday. Where today is we are looking at Critters 3, and it should be called Critters 3 Continuity. What is that? Or Critters 3, what's continuity? This movie right away ignores continuity. So, at the end of the first film, or the previous film, the previous film, Critters 2, all the credits were destroyed. There was none left. Bounty hunters left. And yes, you could say, but wait a minute, they thought they were all destroyed at the end of the first one, but they came back in the second one. Yes. But they said specifically they were all destroyed. So we got this family of three, father, daughter, son, played by twins, I think. But they are at this rest stop, which I thought was Grover's Bend, but I guess it's not. It's just a random rest stop. While there, they run into Leonardo DiCaprio, who's around there with his stepfather. And I guess they're going to the same apartment building. And I was sitting there going, wait. Because later, Annie, the main girl, she's surprised to see Josh, that's DiCaprio's character, there. And I was like, wait, what? His dad's like the landlord or whatever. But I guess this is the first time going to the building, so, I'm trying to keep my voice down because it is after midnight I'm recording this, so. So, while in at this rest stop, they run into Charlie, who is in a hole in the ground, which is Charlie, so that kind of, you're not going to question that. He pops up and he starts talking about the Christ. Did you hear him? Where are they? In the ground? Up there? And he starts telling the story of the first film. And he says that he first encountered the Christ in 1984, which is false. The first film takes place in 1986, not 1984. Yes, the idea and this process of this started in 1984, but no, the movie was released in 1986 and thus takes place in 1986, with the second one take place in 1988. And then later in the film, we get exposition from another character talking about the same incident, but he says 1986. So, which is it? All right. And so we see a point of view of a critter, as he's telling the story. And yes, this is how the critters are going to move in the film, because this film doesn't have as big as a budget as the last two. So most of the critter movement, save for, is either pointed POV shots or just a quick rolling across, because they couldn't afford to make them actually move. And there's not a lot of fun critter stuff in this film like you had in the last two, other than one scene of them eating soap and making bubbles. That's all their money could go for. They got one decently sized critter, but other than that. So we see this POV of a critter, which shouldn't exist because they're all dead, but they lay eggs. It lays eggs in the car, and I'm assuming takes off. And though I guess because the way it was breathing, you could say it died, but I'm assuming it just took off because we don't see it again. No one finds a carcass. Charlie never says, "I found a carcass of a dead critter where you guys were parked, and that's how I found you." No, he just shows up later. And Charlie gives this crystal to Johnny, that's the little brother. It says it'll glow green when the critters are around. Where the hell did he get it? And why wasn't it in the first two films? Who knows? We gotta have, a way of knowing the critters are around, although critter eggs are right underneath their vehicle and it doesn't glow green. In fact, it doesn't glow until it's convenient for it to glow. Yep. All the kills in this film aren't that good. The first kill is probably the best. I call him Jimmy because he's the guy who played Jimmy on Brink. So, but he's killed. He's got working with the landlord to keep these people out. But yeah, not much happens in this film. It's kind of boring. The dad is an asshole because his TV stops working, and so she's like, "Oh, we can play a game. Give me your battery powered TV." So she goes out there and she gets it. She throws it at him. Yeah, you have Billy Madison's grandma in this. Frances Day, I think her name is. Her real name. Fine. You got other characters in here that just don't go anywhere. It's kind of boring. The critters don't do much. This random guy, Billy Madison's grandmother's husband in this film, knows about the Krites, I guess. Um, yeah, this movie is stupid. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's okay. He gets the girl, so there's the start of that Leonardo DiCaprio thing, although I think he was younger than the main actress in this, who was 17 at the time. I think he was like 14, it looks like. But, yeah, and even the dad has a love interest, and that really doesn't go anywhere per se. But, yeah, so we get the ending. So Charlie shows up in the climax out of fucking nowhere, and he helps take down the Krites. He, like, blows up some stuff, sets them on fire, and then there's one big Krite. They both fall off a building, and then he gets killed through an antenna. And then Charlie rescues the lady. And then there's none left. And Charlie says, I gotta go find more Krites. They're all gone. This thing ain't, let me see the crystal. It's not glowing. Although he does it not glow around eggs? Is that the thing? The eggs don't make it glow, although it should. As during the end credits, we get a scene of very long extended scene, because every time a credit pops up, it freezes Charlie, where he finds two Krite eggs, and he's about to destroy them. But then he gets an alarm blaring out from him. And this is where the continuity is really fucked up, because you ignore your own continuity within the same fucking film. You ignore your own continuity you established earlier in the film. And I have a theory that Charlie was just shoved in this film because they said, oh, Charlie needs to be in this film. So they wrote his parts in. That's why he's at the beginning and the end. And then they set this up like Back to the Future Part 2 and 3 for a sequel. So the alarm blares and goes off as he's about to kill the Krite eggs. And then a hologram pops up, and it's Ugg. And he explains that Charlie cannot kill these eggs because they're the last two Krites at all. They're the last two. The only Krites. You cannot kill an alien species if it means total extinction of that species. How bullshit. Bullshit. You were specifically sent in both films to exterminate all of the Krites. It did not matter if it was the end of the species or not. You were sent to kill them. In those films, it did not matter whether or not they were the last of the species. Now, because they gotta set up a sequel, you cannot exterminate them if they're the last of the species. Also, plot hole, they're not the last of the species. Because there was one Krite that laid the eggs. Who knows if he survived or if there's another one. Somehow, these two eggs are the last Krites in existence. Bullshit. Alright? A random Krite on a random road at a random rest stop lays eggs in a vehicle, and you say that was the last living Krite on the entire Earth. And he decided just to lay his last eggs there. Even if that Krite is dead, you're saying that's it. He was the last one. Bullshit. There's got to be more out there. You ignore your own continuity. This Krite could still be alive, for all we know. Because he's not on there, they don't find a carcass, he could still be alive. Yet you want to make a film, so you gotta be convenient that he can't kill these. And then they're sending a pod down. The pod goes to the thing, see a POV shot of Charlie, and then it ends. I thought we saw more, but I guess that's the beginning of the next one. This has got to be the most unnecessary sequel in this franchise. And that's saying even the ones after that. I've seen 4, it's alright, and I haven't seen the next one, but this just seems like a cash grab. There's no budget. There's barely anything with the critters after the big ball thing in the last one. You got a giant critter in the first one. You got a big ball. What do we get here? A somewhat larger sized critter that doesn't do anything. Charlie shoved in there at the beginning and the end. Characters you don't really care about, you know. Dad's an asshole, but you gotta root for the family. Why? I don't know. It just, it's meh. Best I can say is meh. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. But I can't recommend it. Watch the first 2. Just watch the first 2. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. So what are your thoughts on Critters 3? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.